inside of all I know. If I can't get it out, wanna see for me. I've open wide this time, this time, this time. Standing tall, top of hill. But when you're near me, I tell. It's the power of persuasion. Speaking revelations. You're some kind of inspiration. Got a new preoccupation. Follow you forever till the hell. But I'm beaten down by the guilt. It's the power of suggestion. It's so suggestive. You're my favorite new obsession. I got another confession. It's the power of suggestion. It's some aggression. You're my favorite new obsession. It's killing me. It's not the first time I've been a bad guy. The sad part is I'm getting used to it now. Happiness becomes overrated. You're everything that I've ever hated. Step back, give me some space. So just in case you fall and break, I won't be there to catch you while you shake. I'll be waiting for your back to break. Suck it up, walk it up, like it never happened at all. And now your back's against the wall, so you're begging to come home. Take it back, watch your step. Try to stay in line. I won't save you again this time. I'll take a cheap shot of the year.
the October Accord right here on the Tony Jones Show. Cheap Shot of the Year, the EP, Cheap Shot, the name of that one, the title track. Before that, we heard from the unfortunately now defunct Pariah, but however, still some fantastic music from them. We just heard Tilt. And before that, Roz Raskin and the Rice Cakes, you heard Floorboards right here on the Tony Jones Show. 3 tunes back-to-back, all local music. 3 tunes back-to-back, all female-fronted rock and roll from our great little scene here. TonyJones.org is my website, Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. Thank you for checking in with me on Twitter at Tony Jones NRI. And apparently you're not listening to the same show that we're broadcasting here live because you're asking me about the nuclear deal in Iran, which has nothing to do with Chuck from Senior Discount.
No, that's what I thought I came on to discuss.
In studio, a fellow podcaster, a fellow alternative media, Omni Media guy who has been podcasting for quite a few years now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, podcasting is one of the things that I also love, as well as being in a band. And it came about because I had this buddy named Brad Rohr, who is part of an improv group called Sky Punch Improv. And he's a very funny dude. A while ago, he joined the group to kind of help us write comedic videos and star in them with us. And we would have these long conversations about movies and art and writing and television and music. And without sounding too cocky, like we thought that they were like high-minded, logical, and interesting conversations. I think that's okay to say. But when I was
was the smell of skunk in the air, or
maybe a little? No. No. Brad is a Puritan, pure at heart and pure of body and soul. But so we were I was redoing the Senior Discount website at the time. And I was like, I'd love something to put on the website weekly that can update and bring people back. And me and Brad had been talking about podcasting, and I said, what if we did a podcast every week where we plugged whatever new thing Senior Discount was doing, whatever new thing that your improv group was doing, as well as, whatever we work on together, whether it's a video or anything. And then we talk about whatever we want to talk about. So we can, if we're going through a big, interesting thing, like one time Senior Discount played at the House of Blues in Boston when it was sold out. And it was like, probably the best experience I've had in a band. And it was a really interesting thing. We had our own hospitality coordinator who fed us salmon and stuff. And it was a very weird situation. So, one episode could be about that experience. One episode could be about us talking about Jurassic World and how much we loved it. I'm not going to spoil anything because I'm very excited. Or it could be something that happened in Brad's life. It could be Chuck and Brad go speed dating one week, which we did. And we said, yeah, let's do that. It'd be fun. And that was 6 years ago. And now I think we just did episode 219 this past week with Rob Courtemanche, who was in the band Turning Blue. Many other bands, including Verbena Darvel. And now he's in the Pogs. And he'll be playing on our show on July 31st at the Met. We had him on to talk about his whole experience being in a band in the past 10 to 15 years in Rhode Island. But we've been doing it for 6 years now. And we have a lot of fun doing it. It's a very diversified show. Sometimes we do interviews with local artists. We talk to stand-up comedians and musicians. But a lot of it is just about our personal lives and not just about, media and movies and music and TV and books, but also about like our personal journeys as human beings. It's really fun.
And, it's interesting, how many people will access that content from around the world.
Yeah.
And, I think you guys do the same thing that I do with my show and with all the shows here is that you archive your content, right? So people can go back.
Absolutely.
And there's fellow radio nerds like me who will listen to show 1 and listen to show 250.
Right, exactly.
And say, wow, it's totally different people.
Yeah.
At that point. But it's an almost therapeutic situation when you're on the backside of the microphone. And with all the technology we have, people still really connect with that personal story of you're going through a breakup, you had a rough week, you're broke, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our podcast is at chuckandbradpodcast.com. And yeah, from episode 1 to episode 220 is up there. They're available. You can subscribe on iTunes. It's called Agreeing to Disagree, the Chuck and Brad podcast. And yeah, there is, I did go through a 5-year breakup right after I bought a house with my ex-girlfriend. And that week, 3 of my friends got together and we did an 1.5 hour long episode about how I felt, what happened. And I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah.
On the lighter side of that, One time, Senior Discount tried to record a Christmas medley, an 8-song Christmas medley, and it was easily like the hardest thing we ever recorded, and how we had the most trouble doing it. And we sat down as a band with Brad and did a 2-hour podcast about the entire month of what happened and the studios falling out and the new recording engineer who was kind of mean and all this and the whole experience. And if we hadn't done that, now I could say, hey, a couple years ago we did this, but those stories become fuzzy and blurry and dulled down where, I actually have an account from everyone involved at the time with their exact feelings. And it's amazing to have that.
And without having that therapeutic experience, you may have all killed each other in said studio.
Every negative situation becomes kind of a positive because you get the story and you have a place to put it.
We did a live broadcast a few weeks ago. I forgot what it was. And, I was kind of telling the guys that anytime something funky happens in my boring day-to-day life, I'm thinking in the back of my head, man, I can't wait to talk about this on the radio.
Exactly.
This is insane.
Exactly. And it's awesome. I think it has so much more power being recorded that way and being there for posterity. It's almost like you have almost like a yearbook of your life or a book of your life, a novel that you've narrated all this time whenever you have that stuff recorded.
It's like the Wonder Years.
I
just never realized that.
It's funny because Daniel Stern actually does my podcast for me. It's not actually me, so it's just like the Wonder Years.
And, we talked about it with someone a few weeks ago, and that consistency is key. People are constantly contacting me about they want to do a podcast and, they want to do a show, and then they realize it's a lot of hard work and they never do it again. But when you do have that consistency of putting out fresh content all the time, it's another situation where people really do form an emotional bond with you.
Totally.
And it's a very unique, interesting experience, and
I
think we're all blessed to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I think that's the kind of the artist that I've kind of bonded with over the years. Like we talked about wrestling, and Mick Foley is like one of my favorite guys ever. And it's like
the poor guy can barely walk.
The poor guy barely walk. I know, and it's like he stopped wrestling I think around 2002 or 2003. But I followed all of his novels, his autobiographies. He does a lot of podcasts. He does stand-up comedy. And that's really spoken to me. Kevin Smith is another guy that I really connect with. Mark Hoppus from Blink-182 does a lot of stuff. I totally agree. When you really get to be let into someone's world, and as an artist, I think that you really find people you care about. It's an interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing.
How do you feel about pay-to-play podcasting? Oh, we could do a whole show on that.
You know what? If any artist around wants to come on our podcast, you pay me $45. I'll give you 10 tickets. No, I'm not gonna. Honestly, on a more serious note,
for an extra 20, you can get the VIP experience. There'll be a cheese plate out, possibly a bottle of water.
On a more serious note, if you do want to come on our podcast, chuckandbradpodcast.com, write us at chuckandbrad@gmail.com. We'd love to do artist interviews. So if you're from around the area, you got stories to tell, shows to plug, feel free to come on and talk to us. It's always a good time.
I'm going to spin a few more tunes, and we'll get back a little bit with Chuck from Senior Discount because